If you've been thinking about adding a basement suite or you already have one that isn't technically legal, then this video is for you. Today we're digging into Calgary's secondary suite program, what it is, how it works, and what kind of return you might expect to see if you do it right. We'll also talk about the city's Amnesty program, which makes it much easier to legalize an existing suite, and we'll cover the $10,000 incentive that's available right now if you're planning to build one. I'm going to walk you through everything that you need to know so that you can make a smart decision for your property. So let's start with the basics. When most people think about secondary suites, they think of basement suites, and those are the most common. But technically, they can be anywhere in the home, provided that they have their own separate kitchens, living area, entranceway, and bathroom. Now, in Calgary, you can only add a secondary suite if your home is in the right zone, and most low-density residential zones allow for secondary suites. Also, with the recent blanket rezoning decision, this now accounts for most of Calgary's homes. However, it would be a good idea to check ahead of time before you begin building a secondary suite. So, why does this matter? Well, for starters, a legal secondary suite can generate substantial and sustained rental income, and that extra cash can help you cover your mortgage, boost your equity, or help a family member live independently. In Calgary's current market, where affordability is becoming more of an issue and vacant rates are very low, a legal suite can be a very good idea. All right, so now let's get into how the process actually works. And this is where a lot of people start to feel overwhelmed, especially if they have a suite that existed before the rules came into play. So let's start with the current rules. If you're planning to build a new secondary suite, you'll need permits. Specifically, you'll need a development permit, but only if your home isn't already zoned for a suite. You'll need a building permit to ensure that your construction meets Alberta's building code. And then you'll need trade permits for things like electrical, plumbing, or HVAC. Now, this isn't a quick weekend project. You'll likely need to upgrade all of your smoke alarms, ensure that your furnace room has fire-rated walls. Additionally, you may need to install a separate HVAC system or find a way to split the heating, as well as install proper egress windows so that people can escape in the event of a fire. And remember that all of this must be done to code, as this will eventually be inspected by the city. Now, if you already have a suite and it was built before 2018, even if it's been rented for years, it's likely not legal unless it's gone through the permitting process, and this is where Calgary's Amnesty program comes in. The Amnesty program is basically Calgary's way of saying, look, we know that there are a lot of existing illegal suites, and we want to bring them to code without penalizing the homeowners for doing so. So between now and the end of 2026, the city is offering more flexible inspection guidelines and waiving certain fees if your suite was built before 2018. Now, that doesn't mean that you're off the hook. You will still have to bring your suite up to the current safety standards. And that includes all of the items mentioned earlier, the windows, the smoke detectors, etc. But you'll be given a little extra leeway in terms of how those upgrades are implemented. And the city is also not enforcing retroactive fines or penalties during the amnesty period. So to be eligible, you just need to be able to prove that your suite existed before 2018. So old rental listings, utility bills, and that kind of thing can help in this regard. And once you're ready to apply, you'll go through an inspection, get a list of what needs to be repaired, and once it's all approved, your suite will be added to the city's registry. This registry is public, and it can add real value to your property to be on it, especially if you're thinking of selling your property down the road. Now let's talk about money, specifically the $10,000 incentive that is available through the City of Calgary to eligible homeowners. If you're planning on building a new secondary suite, or you're planning on upgrading your existing suite during the amnesty period, you may be eligible to get reimbursed for up to $10,000 for safety-related upgrades. This program is designed to encourage more legal suites and covers things that the city deems important for tenant safety. But, and this is important, you have to apply before construction is started. If you've already pulled permits or if you've already begun work, you will not be eligible. This program is run on a first-come, first-served basis, and funds are limited each year, so the earlier in the year that you can apply, the better. One other point worth noting, as of June 2025, there's another restriction in place. If you are planning to receive funds through this program, you will not be allowed to use your suite for short-term rentals such as Airbnb and VRBO. So if you do receive funds through this program, you will be restricted from short-term rentals for a period of 2 years. The city wants suites built with these funds to address long-term housing needs and not vacation rental traffic. Now let's talk about what this will all actually cost and what most people don't factor in until it's too late. A full secondary suite build with all of the accompanying permits, inspections, and construction can run you around $50,000 to $100,000. If you're just legalizing an older suite that's already been built, the costs may be lower, but these upgrades can still run into the multiple tens of thousands of dollars. Now, the biggest mistake I see is that homeowners assume that they can do this on the cheap and then end up skipping necessary steps. Maybe just get a handyman to throw up some drywall or throw in a stove without the proper permits. These things can work a little bit in the short term, but you are taking a huge risk. If there's ever a fire or a tenant reports you, you could be on the hook for fines or even insurance issues. Another common issue is people hiring contractors that don't understand the secondary suite requirements specifically. So keep in mind that this is a specialized process and it's critical to only hire people that are aware of what the city requires. Many things you might not think of, like ceiling height, soundproofing, or even stairwell design, all have to be brought up to Calgary's building code. One other thing to keep in mind is that adding a secondary suite might impact your property taxes, your insurance premiums, or even your mortgage if you're refinancing. And you'll also need to declare any rental income to the CRA, so it's a great idea to speak to an accountant to make sure that the income side is being handled properly. So yes, a secondary suite can be a great investment, but only if it's done properly. So why go through all of this? Why spend $70,000, deal with inspections, contractors, and the like? Well, because legal suites are in demand. They're a smart long-term investment that adds real value to your property and flexibility to your home. They generate rental income that can help you either qualify for a larger mortgage or pay off your existing mortgage faster. They also appeal to buyers who want multi-generational living space or their own rental income down the road. Plus, legalizing an existing suite will reduce your liability. If anything ever happens, whether it's a safety issue or a dispute with a tenant, you can confidently show them that everything was done above board and up to code. Also, don't forget the bigger picture. Calgary does need more affordable housing. The city has made it clear that secondary suites are part of a long-term strategy to increase the housing supply in Calgary, especially as demand for housing continues to grow. So by legalizing your suite, you're not just helping yourself, but you are actually helping to address a real need for housing in the community. So hopefully that is everything that you'll need to know about Calgary's secondary suite program in 2025. I hope that you're now in a better position to decide if legalizing a secondary suite is the right move for you. So if you found this video helpful, please do hit like and subscribe. It makes a big difference to a new channel just starting out like mine. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.